I know it's been a while. As I've said many times before, I'm a teacher, not a speaker. Yesterday, I was putting together some lesson plans for the week, and I teach life science. And one thing that we're working on, we went through the scientific method, we did some critical thinking activities, we went over lab safety, and as I moved on to microscopes, I was just refreshing my memory. You know, some of this I haven't seen in a while. And I also had a conversation with some fellas this morning, and based off of that conversation about our vision and things that we want to accomplish in life, I instantly thought about this right here, light microscope. You see, just to break this down, the teacher side of me, right? This is a light microscope, and this is the eyepiece right here that we look through. And there's three things right here. If you can see me turning these, they're known as objectives. So my question or my thoughts actually this morning was centered around we need to change our perspective, because we all will encounter storms, we all will encounter situations in life, but a lot of times it's about what is the lens that we're looking at that storm or that challenge or that obstacle with. If I go back to this microscope, it has three different objectives. Of course, the smallest one is the weakest, and the longest one is actually the most powerful. But not only that, there's an eyepiece. And when I look at something under this microscope through the eyepiece alone magnifies what I see 10 times. So if I were to look at the weakest objective right here, which multiplies something 4 times, I would take the 10 times the 4 and then say that this objective, it actually magnifies an object 40 times, 10 times 4. When I go to the second one, I know we're having a little lesson right now. This one, it magnifies it by 10 times. So 10 times 10 overall magnifies it 100 times. I'm sure we're getting it right. And lastly, the longest one right here, it magnifies by 40 times. 40 times 10, which means this lens right here, this objective, actually multiplies whatever I'm looking at 400 times. We have to remember how we look at things and the lens that we use. Let me help this make a little bit more sense. The shortest one right here, this objective, which magnifies something 40 times, is also known as the scanning objective. I use that to kind of identify the area in which I want to look. I do not want to go all the way down and use my strongest objective, because when I get there and it's magnifying 1,000 times, I may not even know what I'm looking at. If I look down on a cellular level, a lot of things are very similar. If we look at their origin, if we look at what they're composed of, sometimes we are just a little bit too close. Sometimes we need to pull back just a little bit, because if we don't, then we're not even gonna know what we're looking at. We're too close. And sometimes we're at that point where we're just kind of looking at something on a surface level. This could be self-awareness. We could be looking at things such as I've been doing with myself, and I realize, guess what? I got a secret. I'm not perfect, but I could also say, I love y'all, but y'all aren't perfect either. And there's things about myself that I only want to see on the surface level. I just want to scan it real quick with this light objective, when in all actuality, I need to break this thing all the way down. I got to really get down into the crevices, my DNA, and see, why do I react that way? Why do I think that way? Why do I do the things that I do? What makes me tick? So if ever we're at a point where we feel stuck, and we can't get through something or over it, around it, or under it, sometimes we just simply need to change our objective and realize that each of those objectives serves a purpose. We all are going through different journeys and go through a phase of things and phases of challenges as we solve things in life. That's even taking it back to the scientific method. We make our observations and question. We form our hypothesis and we test it out until we get the desired results. Now remember, I'm a teacher, not a speaker, and I want you to have an amazing day.